Hello and welcome. My name is Qaanitah Hunter and today we are unpacking the anatomy of commissions of inquiry. Today we explore what makes a commission of inquiry successful, what is required to ensure its effectiveness, and what lessons we can draw from commissions that have shaped South Africa's history. It was at this press conference that shocking allegations first surfaced, shaking confidence in South Africa's policing structures.
On the 26th of March 2025, this year, a total of 121 case dockets that were under investigation were taken away from the task team as directed by a Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, a Lieutenant General Sibiya, who was acting on the instruction of the Minister of Police to disband the team.
The allegations prompted President Cyril Ramaphosa to announce a new inquiry, chaired by now retired Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga.
As we intensify the fight against crime, it is vital that we safeguard the integrity and credibility of the police and other law enforcement agencies. These allegations, therefore, call for an urgent and comprehensive investigation. To address these allegations and the implications of these allegations, I'm establishing a Judicial Commission of Inquiry that will be chaired by Acting Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga. Justice Madlanga will be assisted by Advocate Sesi Baloyi, Senior Counsel, and Advocate Sandile Khumalo, Senior Counsel. The Commission will investigate allegations relating to the infiltration of law enforcement, intelligence, and associated institutions within the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. Among the allegations that the Commission may investigate are the facilitation of organized crime, suppression or manipulation of investigations, inducement into criminal actions by law enforcement leadership, commission of any other criminal offenses.
The Commission will also look into whether senior officials, both past and present, facilitated, enabled, or turned a blind eye to criminal activity. It will investigate failures of oversight, gaps in legislation, and the complicity by those who benefited financially or politically from organized crime. One person who knows the weight of such work is Advocate Paul Pretorius, who led evidence at the State Capture Inquiry.
Madlanga Commission will, I'm sure, do its work and will not be influenced by untoward public pressure. The Madlanga Commission has a vast challenge in its terms of reference. Not only must it investigate allegations across a range of state entities, but it's to also investigate the effectiveness of oversight mechanisms within the state. Also the culpability of members of the executive responsible for law enforcement, whether by commission or omission. Those are huge terms of reference, hugely challenging. And the public must expect that it's not easy to answer those questions without thorough investigation, without cooperation from all the arms of state. And one can expect, particularly in this commission, you asked what the biggest challenges would be resistance within those parties that may be at fault to the giving of evidence and the withholding of relevant evidence. Perhaps that's the biggest challenge, thinking about it, is the Commission must go into the echelons of law enforcement across the board, particularly in the South African Police Service. One can't expect this information to be given on a plate.
Pretorius warns the Commission will need strong administrative support to withstand interference and ensure its work is credible.
This commission is the latest Madlanga Commission is very, very important, and I think people recognize it. But it would be interference in the work of the commission, and that would come from a dark space. So the production of evidence which is manifestly manipulated and false, the failure to support the commission administratively and technologically, I suppose we had no concrete knowledge of internal or external interference or sabotage in the Zondo Commission, but that's always a possibility, particularly given the type of allegations that are being made now in respect of the latest Commission of Inquiry. So there is interference of one manner or another. There's simply a lack of administrative and logistical support. It's a weak link in the chain. So, for example, if the administration and technological support is not entirely up to scratch, that could cause problems for the Commission.
This latest inquiry begins against the backdrop of earlier commissions that shaped democratic South Africa, from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to the Marikana and state capture inquiries. Each provided moments of reckoning, exposed hidden truths, and demanded accountability. But their legacy remained contested.
Now, our President Ramaphosa has used that to essentially just say, we're going to do this huge, far-ranging investigation into law enforcement in South Africa, the criminal justice system, the judiciary, and the State Security Council, everyone from the highest judge in the country through to the Metro Police. And so you, again, as you had with Zondo, have this potential for this thing to turn into a behemoth and potentially not, be done in the 6 months that was originally allocated to it, to turn into a Zondo Part 2. And I think, there's also the potential for the current President Ramaphosa to, just as Jacob Zuma did, to put his administration on trial. Because Mkhwanazi's allegations say that this alleged syndicate activity started in 2018. Guess what else started in 2018? President Ramaphosa's term in office. So it's a kind of replication of the state capture inquiry. And just like the state capture inquiry, it has the potential to be very expensive, very protracted, and as many South Africans will argue, potentially not result in any real culpability, political or otherwise, for the very senior figures that may be implicated in.
Pretorius says the SAPS Commission can draw important lessons from the state capture inquiry, particularly in how evidence and administration are managed.
So you have the commissioners, you have the evidence leaders, coordinating the evidence leaders, sometimes up to 20 advocates. Managing that work was difficult, coordinating that work, working with the investigators, and producing the results of investigations into areas that have been highlighted or prioritized for investigation. And then the Secretariat, where records must be kept, where all the input from the public must be coordinated and recorded, where the technology must be up to speed. It's very important for a commission of this size and of this significance, with the input that will come from the investigators, from the public at large, to record in detail every item of correspondence, every statement. So a commission of the size of the Zondo Commission and potentially the Madlanga Commission needs very efficient and coordinated administrative control, backed by technology.
Still, There is public concern that this may become yet another commission that exposes wrongdoing but achieves little. Experts warn that inquiries must be followed by real action if they are to have any meaning.
Biggest disappointment with commissions of inquiry is that there's not enough action to follow through with what the commission found or the recommendations that have been put forward. I think what makes a good inquiry is one that is focused and sort of determined to be an inquiry, because a commission of inquiry is different from an ordinary police investigation or even a court-mandated process. Because if a commission of inquiry is there to inquire, as the name suggests, so it is to quickly get to the facts of what happened and surface those facts so that further action can be taken. So it's not meant to be a full-blown criminal trial where the burden of proof, for example, is beyond a reasonable doubt, and there must be all of these witnesses and cross-examination and complex assessment of evidence and facts. Of course, the commission must be rigorous, but it doesn't really need to meet the highest possible standards of evidence that one would expect in a criminal trial. And so that, I think, is the one mistake that is made in commissions of inquiry, that they quickly evolve into criminal trials, and that takes away, unfortunately, from some of the work that is done.
Many previous commissions carried high hopes, but their impact has often fallen short.
We have seen previously that the ANC government has had a pathology, particularly in the realm of law enforcement, of getting recommendations from commissions which are solidly grounded in strong evidence and, in irrefutable examination of who is to blame for everything from apartheid atrocities in the TRC Commission to the Marikana massacre. And those recommendations are then all but ignored. As a consequence, we now see litigation linked to the non-implementation of the decision of the recommendation to prosecute certain individuals in regard to apartheid atrocities. The Kampepe Commission, the recommendation was, do not disband the Scorpions. They are necessary for to attack and address the very relevant issue of organized crime. They are incredibly effective at doing that. Judge Sisi Kampepe is completely ignored on that. The Nhlanhla inquiry investigating Vusi Pikoli's fitness to hold office as an NPA head. She says that he is fit and proper to hold office. That is ignored and he is fired.
So which commissions worked and which ones failed?
Some commissions that have been successful. I think one quick example is the Newzroom Commission into SARS. That commission came at a time when SARS was really damaged, and it was one of those victims of state capture. What the Newzroom Commission was able to do was to quickly get to the root of the causes of the problems at SARS. And based on that investigation, there were very concrete recommendations on what needs to be done. And those recommendations were followed up by proper action, and those actions yielded success in a relatively short space of time. The one commission that didn't yield a lot of results is the Arms Deal Commission, which was looking at what happened in the arms deal and what could have happened, what went wrong. That commission came out with a report, but almost all of its recommendations were never really carried through. And that, I guess, is also one of the features of a commission of inquiry. It is really a tool for the executive to use to understand a public event. And so that is really the brief of commissions of inquiry. They don't do much more than what other state institutions should ordinarily do.
One of the biggest concerns raised about this commission is whether it will truly deliver accountability or if political interference will once again dilute its impact.
We've had a very unfortunate pathology, with the exception of maybe like the SARS Commission of Inquiry, which was very efficient, inexpensive, and actually resulted in manifest changes in SARS. We have a pathology of extreme amounts of money being used to essentially tell the population what they already know. And then there's very little to absolutely no consequence for the people that are implicated in that. And I think with this serious investigation into law enforcement, into justice, into the prosecuting authority, and potentially politicians as well, it could end up being part 2 of the state capture inquiry, where that hope of a potential prosecutorial outcome is now replaced by the certainty or, certain potential for evidence that the entire criminal justice system that would have allowed such consequences has itself been compromised. And then what do you do? And that will be that much worse if it turns out that there's a massive price tag on that, and that South Africans have effectively paid again to discover what they already knew.
The Madlanga inquiry has been given extraordinary powers to compel evidence, conduct searches, and refer criminal matters for prosecution. But experts warn that the process will face resistance and political pressure at every turn.
The security that is provided to the Commission is of paramount importance now and in this case, particularly in relation to witnesses. There's a term of reference in the Madlanga terms of reference that requires the Commission to ensure the safety of witnesses. That's a huge ask. The Commission doesn't have those resources. It's going to have to rely on entities like the entities subject to the investigation, like the law enforcement agencies, like the South African Police Service, to provide the safety, unless it's privatized, which I doubt it will be. So that's a big challenge and a real threat.
As the hearings unfold, the country will be watching closely. The Madlanga Commission has the power to expose the truth, address systemic failures, and recommend solutions that can help rebuild confidence in the justice system. Whether it becomes a turning point in South Africa's fight against corruption and organized crime depends not only on what it uncovers, but on whether its recommendations are finally acted upon. That's where we leave it for now. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.